So who would like to share something? Something that happened in the last 2 hours, or also something that happened in the last 2 years? So you got a wide choice. Whoa. So many people raising their hands. Hold on, slow down. I cannot keep track.
When I was becoming present to the sounds yesterday, I realized how much I was triggered and confused about it. I was sitting outside on my terrace. We are living in a Orthodox Jewish area, and the synagogues are closed, so there was a lot of singing going on and praying going on, and that really calmed me down. And I could really become present to that. But then on the other side, there were people playing modern music, and it completely unsettled me. And then there was a bird and a cat, and I started noticing so much more things than I normally do.
Yeah.
But I found it was so overwhelming and confusing.
Yeah.
That I took my book just to get rid of all the triggers outside. So it was quite unsettling to become present to it, but then to realize there's so much triggers that I couldn't seem to be with it.
Yeah.
And different sounds as well. The praying sounds was very calming on me.
Yeah.
But then the music and the disharmony in the sounds.
Yes.
And it was,
Yeah. I understand.
Sounds often do that to me. They unsettle me quite a lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I have that too. Like, I'm so, my ears are so open that sometimes I have to be very selective of what I listen to. Like yesterday I was sitting at a table. It was a large table with a lot of space between us. And somebody was talking to me from this side, and then from this side there was other two people talking also, a different conversation. And my brain started going like, and I had to close one ear to hear less the other one, because I was getting so disturbed by not being able to really listen to one person, but I had to listen to two people talking at the same time. And my brain didn't like it at all. But that's why also I was saying, that's a powerful meditation that I would recommend in the beginning to do in places where there are like sounds that are soothing, like for you was the praying, for example, right? And explore that space first. There's no point in taking a step that is longer than what you can take in that moment. So yeah, take small step first. So go in places where there are soothing sounds, or listen to some music that it's conducive of that space. Or in nature is ideal. In nature is beautiful because you can listen to many sounds at the same time, and they never seem to be in conflict with each other. It's really, you feel the oneness of nature. Even though they're like 10 different sounds, they don't clash with each other. They're all in the perfect place. It's just a perfect symphony of this moment. It's the song that existence is singing in that moment. It has many voices. That's what it feels like, no? So it's easier. And then in nature, you start practicing that, for example, and you start noticing, wow, you become so still inside. Why you almost, we could say, you lose yourself in the sounds. You lose your I as a person, but you're there. They are very present, but your ego is not there because we're completely absorb and dissolve into the sounds. So your ego kind of becomes very quiet and dissolve for that moment. And you are, in that moment, you're not a person, you are a presence. That's a big difference. So the person is the one that is centered around your personality, personality. And as probably I've told you before, personality comes from the word persona, which is in the ancient Greek theater was the mask that the actor would wear. And so according to what mask they would wear, then they would embody a certain character. So that's what the personality is. I have the Shastro mask on and Valentina has the Valentina mask on. And we believe that we are that. And the other people believe we're that too. That's our mask, which is okay. It works, in social, but we're exploring something more deeper than that now. And deeper than the personality or the ego, which is the same, is the very essence of witnessing consciousness, our awareness, or we could call it our presence. Yeah, so in those moments of meditation, you are not a person anymore, but you're a presence. That's the beauty of it. And that presence can really expand, can also be feeling very one with the surrounding, with nature. It's very easy. A person would not be able to do that. A person, by definition, it's separate from everything else. It's an individual. Personality is egoic, self-centered, separated, which is okay, but it's not enough for us. And then there is the presence. The presence has nothing to do with that. It's just your original self. Your presence is your very awareness. And that is not separated from anything. If you really look for the confinement, where are the edges of that presence? You probably won't find them. Have a look. It's not defined. It's formless. And because it's formless, it cannot have an edge, a border. And as it doesn't have a border, also then it cannot be separated from anything. Right? But that's for you to explore. Have a look. Say, okay, when the mind is completely quiet, when there's not a ripple of thought or emotions, everything is like a calm lake that reflects the full moon night. When you feel that space, you look, what is there? You will sense, okay, there is a presence still. There is my presence, right? And what is like? Does it have an edge? Does it limit? Does it have a confine? It is separate from everything or not? That's for you to explore. It's a good exploration. Yeah, but starting with soothing sound, it helps a lot. But then as you progress in that, we could say you start crystallizing your attention around this quiet inner center, into that stillness. You realize that you can listen to more and more different sounds, and it doesn't really matter what you listen to. What matters is the quality of dissolving into that moment that you bring to. Of course, in order to be able to dissolve the ego in that moment, you have to be able, first of all, not to have a resistance or a judgment towards the sound, right? So if they're playing like heavy metal music and you really dislike it, and in that moment you're like, God damn it, just now you have to play this music. I was feeling so peaceful. Yeah, that okay, then you simply watch what's arising. You know, you watch your anger, your disappointment. You watch how the more you resist to that sound, the more that sound becomes stronger. You know, you watch all these things, which is also part of mindfulness. You know, mindfulness doesn't mean we have to be all peaceful and blissed out like a Buddha. It simply means we are showing up for ourselves in that moment. We're showing up to witness anything that is arising within our consciousness. Anything, which in that moment includes being upset to the people that are playing heavy metal music, which includes a judgment that you put on that music as disturbing, and so on and so forth. That's mindfulness. So it's important that we don't get this idea, oh, mindfulness means I find a place of total peace. Yeah, sometimes you will. But sometimes to get to the place of total peace, you have to peel the onion. And the onions are many layers, right? And those are the layers you peel in other situations when you get upset, for example. When you cannot meditate because somebody is disturbing you. Well, that is peeling the onion too. That is your meditation in that moment. I mean, I'm not talking to you, Catherine, only. I'm talking to everybody, all of us. But yeah. Did I answer your question? I think so. Huh? Okay. Thanks for sharing that. And Maria, you wanted to say something, share something?
Yeah, I experienced in this morning this space, and I met very deep issues in me progressing, and there was color and a deep feeling to be connected to different parts of me. And there was one space in the space.
One what?
Just a space in the space.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Just a little, yes, a little ball.
Yes.
And this was empty.
Yes.
And I know the space in the space, but it was smaller than normally. I think there's a space I don't want to go. I don't want to go to the space. It's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But it was smaller than in other times.
Uh-huh. And what was around that small space?
Around that small space was a bigger space with an orange color, and I saw aspects of my life, of my experiences, and the first time it was very strict, and then it began to dance. It was dancing. There was like a group of 4 persons where they are all connected, and they dance in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
it was very lively.
Yes.
Yes, vivid. Yes.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah. But it was interesting, this small space left.
And so before you said that small space was empty.
Yes.
So how would you know it was empty if you didn't go in it? How could you tell it was empty?
I didn't want to go in it.
Mm.
It was one part of me I refused.
Right. But you said because it was empty before. You said that small space was empty and I didn't want to
Yeah,
go in there.
it seemed to be empty.
Uh-huh.
It was white. I couldn't see, but I didn't really look at it.
Yeah.
I didn't try to get in.
Yeah. But you did enjoy what was happening around in the other
Yes,
bigger space. Mhm.
yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting, huh? Because it could well be that that small space is that little center is the center of your center, you know. And to get to it, you have to go through different experiences that are the one that are surrounding it, which in that case were very, it sounds like they were very lively and beautiful, actually, very enjoyable. And so it's okay, you know, it's okay. You just noticed, you were obviously present with all of it because you noticed, oh, I enjoy this space, the bigger space, but the little space, I don't want to go there, you know? So you were very present and very aware of what was happening. And so that's all you can do, really, you know? On a deeper level, we have to also realize that anything that happens, let's call it in the bigger space of the two, right? They are experiences that they arise within our consciousness, like in that moment, they arise in you. It might be colorful, it might be images, you know, like you had colors, or you could even sense or see people dancing. So those are experiences that you are observing, right? So when we meditate, we have to remain aware that we are not the experiences. We are the one that is observing them. Okay. And so you obviously were the one that were observing the people dancing, who was seeing the colors, and it was seeing your resistance to go to the smaller space, the center, right? So that's the only thing we can do, to keep witnessing. But a witness does not get identified with what he sees. You know, if you start believing, oh yeah, I'm whatever, one of these people that are dancing, or this is what I want to do, and I am that, and you get lost in the experience, then it's okay, but it stops there, because that's your last station, let's say. It's that experience. And the moment you get identified with something, you don't move anymore. You're there. Those experiences, that space could be filled for somebody else with horror, horrible things, you know, it's fear and darkness, no colors. It's the same though. It's another experience. And again, don't get identified with that. Remember that you are the witness. You are witnessing all this arising in you. Beautiful. It's beautiful that it arises, but still, that's not you. Yesterday, we were talking about neti neti. I don't know if you were there. This technique that Buddha was doing, where he was saying, basically, he was subtracting everything that he felt he was not. So an experience would arise and he would say neti. It means no, I'm not that. And then something else would arise and he would say neti. Oh, no, I'm not that either, you know. And by subtraction, you know, almost like peeling the layers of the onions, he went to the center, to his true center, but he had to go through a lot of experiences first and release them, and realizing, well, I'm not all these experiences either, you know. Now we say it, now you are the witness, but nobody said it to Buddha, you know. It was not something like so easy, accessible, a concept like that. He had to discover it himself, you know. And he discovered by keep looking and removing all that, it didn't feel like it was his true self, you know. So he would say neti neti, and he kept neti neti, removing all that was not real. So we could say that all the experiences, all that we perceive within consciousness that arises, it's okay as it is. It's perfectly okay. It might be happy, colorful, it might be sad, anxious, and dark. It's okay, you know. And still just witness it and remember you're not that either. Yeah, keep going. So that little empty space is still calling you, and it will be there, don't worry. And when you feel like, okay, I'm ready to go a little bit in, then you go, you know, but there's no pressure. Just remember that yeah, you're none of that, none of what you experience. In that way, if you just remain identified just with the witnessing, then you're free to keep moving through different experiences. You don't get stuck only on one. In the moment you start going like, oh my God, there is so much fear in this space, it's so dark, and you get really identified with that, then you stay there. Nothing changes anymore. You lost the fluidity of the ever-changing moment, let's say. Or if you get identified with, you know, oh, what a lively, beautiful, colorful space, I want to stay here forever. That's okay, you can. You can, but then you stayed only there. The journey is over. Nice. That's a nice experience.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that, Maria. Yeah. Catherine, you have the mic.
Thank you. So I recognized yesterday in the yoga lesson that I was really concentrated on myself. I had a appointment later after the yoga with my neighbors to eat together, and they started at 6. So I knew they starting before I finished the yoga class. So now I want to do the yoga class, and so I was like, okay, I'm concentrating that I'm in the present and not directly, oh, they started already. And I practice on my balcony, so I heard them on the balcony. So, and then, okay, now it's time for Shavasana, it's quiet, and I heard them and I hear them. So I was really like concentrating on my breathing and what Sylvia said, and
yeah,
and I when I later went up to them, they said, "Oh, we looked down to you and we saw you doing the yoga," and I was like, "Oh, really? You looked?" Because I thought maybe you would look down, but I was so concentrated on my presence that I heard them, but I didn't heard what they say. So yeah, it was like a, yes, I did it. Yeah, thank you.
That was a good feeling, huh? Yeah, because it's challenging sometimes. It's like, can I find my center in this moment? Because now this was only a few people above you, but you might be, you know, in a situation where there's a lot of people around you, and where there's a lot of movement, a lot of action. You know, when you go downtown in the city, wow, or even sometimes just going to a supermarket to do shopping, you know, it's like when our attention goes only out, there's so many stimulations, you know, and we keep going out with our attention. And sometimes, you know, you might experience that after half an hour you're in the supermarket, you feel completely tired and exhausted, right? Oh my God, I want to finish this shopping as soon as I can and go home and rest, right? Because the energy is only going out. That's where it helps to that 50-50 we were talking about. You know, you go shopping, you go in a supermarket or a shopping mall, wherever you go. Don't put all your attention on object on the outside. you know, put some of that, yeah, okay, you look around, you look what's there, and some you keep it in that center, which is what you did also, you know, you were able to, through a conscious effort, you were able to maintain some energy in your center, not only listen to what they were saying, but so that's perfect, beautiful experience. But that's something we can do then, you know, an increment more and more. You know, we start with something that is simpler, easier. Like we were talking about sound meditation, you know, it starts in nature where it's easier. But then we cannot just live in nature, or we cannot just live alone. You know, we are in the world. So we find ways to be in the world without the world coming inside of us completely and flood us. Yeah. We want to kind of cherish that empty space inside. We protect it. We feel it, and we want to keep it that way. But we can relate. We still have enough energy that can go out and relate and see things and experience things on the outside. Otherwise, we would have to go live in a cave, which is not what we want to do right now. We want to bring mindfulness to everyday's life in the way life is now. We don't want to necessarily change life, because otherwise the whole world would have to change life. What are we going to do? How about we change not what we do, but how we do it? Yeah, that's what we are working on. It doesn't matter what you do, but how you do it. Which brings me to something. Who was asking me about creativity on a chat yesterday? Anyway, it comes to me now, because we're talking about doing. Yeah, it's not what you do, but how you do it. So what happened to men and women, obviously, I'm referring to both of you when I say men, don't take it personally, is that through the egoic conditioning, particularly, actually only through that, and so the messages that came to us from the outside, from the parents, from the schooling system, from the religious leaders, priests, from the people at work, from our bosses, and so on and so forth, from the politicians, you know. The message has been, in many ways, first, you're not really okay the way you are. You have to be better. Yeah, that starts from, I don't know about you, but for me, it started very early. This feeling that, oh yeah, good, you did that, and you can do better, you know, which, okay, I can appreciate somebody's trying to stimulate me. But the ending result is that you feel like, I'm actually not okay the way I am. I have to prove something, you know, I have to be better. I have to be better in school. I have to be better at home. And look at the other kids. Look how good they are. You know, why don't you do that too? Why can't you do that good? And so on and so forth, right? So constant messages of more or less subtle, sometimes very subtle also, sometimes very obvious. It's like improve so that you can achieve something more. You can be better, you know? And then of course you go to school, you know, you can be the better, you can get higher score, you know, you can be the best of your class if you want, or you can pass the examination with full points, you know, full score. Or you go to work, it's like, you know, work harder, because then you can progress in your career, and then you can climb the ladder, and then you're going to get more money, and then you're going to get more things, and you can get a bigger house, and you can get a better car, and you can get the last model of the computer, and so on and so forth. You know, it's a constant doing to achieve something that actually is never achieved. Because even if you come on the very top of the pyramid by climbing, and doing, You arrive on top and you look down and you probably feel stupid. It's like, what am I doing here? This is not where happiness is. This is not what I was looking for. So what happened because of this is that we went from the state of being, which is our true self, let's call it. It's just beingness, just being. But somebody said, well, it's not okay. You can't just be yourself. You know, you have to do something. You have to prove something. So we went from being to doing, but it's a doing that has a goal. It's not just doing, it's the doing so that we can have something. We can have something material. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's a material like, oh yeah, how can you live without the latest model of the Apple laptop, you know? Or how can you live without the latest iPhone? Are you kidding me? Or, you know, look at this car. It's better than the one you have, you know? Work hard so you get money and you can get that car too. And so on and so forth, you know? The material hallucination that if you have more stuff, you'll be happier. Yeah, right. We know by now that's not quite that way. But that's what they have been selling us over and over, and they still do, yeah? That's the consumeristic, capitalistic point of view. Or we want to get something non-material, like we want to get the approval of other people. We want to be loved and accepted, you know, for what we are. Then we end up compromising and doing things, not because we really feel in our heart we want to do them, but because we'll be appreciated, we'll be recognized, you know, we'll be famous, or we'll be known, or we'll, you know, we leave a trace behind that I am somebody. You know, I'm important, whatever, you know, it can be from material stuff to no material stuff, but it's still something we try to achieve, to reach to. So we do so that we can get that result. So that doing take us so far away from the original being, you know, so being, doing so that we can have. And we got lost into trying to have all that, you know, trying to have more. And we completely lost track of being. We're so immersed in doing so that we can achieve something that we don't even know anymore what it is. You know, we just keep running and doing until we stop and go like, wow, this is not working. Wait a second. What am I doing? I keep running like a headless chicken. Where am I going? Well, I'll tell you where you're going. You're going eventually in a 6-foot wood coffin. That's where your body's gonna go. Doesn't matter how much you do or you don't do, you're gonna end up there. So life is quite short, and I wouldn't recommend wasting it doing without even knowing why you do it. And if you know why you do it, then look at the reason. What is the motivation behind the doing, you know? And if you realize, dude, really? Do you believe you're gonna be happy if you have that? And you might go like, no, not really. Okay, then drop it. You're wasting a lot of energy towards something that has no relevance. It's not gonna nourish you in any way. You know, you have to take responsibility for what you do and why you do it. And don't blame the society because they force you to do it, or your parents because they told you to do it, or anybody on the outside. People, let's just stop blaming anybody. We are responsible for our choice. We're responsible for our life. There's no justification. The fact that we see how things happen and how the ego was constructed doesn't mean that it's somebody else's responsibility now because we behave unconsciously. Yeah, obviously, it's our responsibility. And the more conscious we become, the more responsible we become. Because becoming conscious means you realize there's not only one way, there is many ways, many possibilities, and you have to choose. So yesterday we said freedom comes with responsibility. the more conscious you are, the more free of choosing you are, because suddenly you see, oh, there's not only one way, there is 6 ways here. I can go 6 different directions from this point. And then I have to choose. And so that freedom of choice comes with the responsibility of choosing, and that you are the one that has to take that responsibility. You are the one that has to choose. So if you see that you're doing something and then you look, what is the motivation behind why you do it? Look deeply, and then you decide for yourself, is this really important for me? Do I really believe that that's a healthy direction to take? Maybe it's yes. Or maybe you go like, no, I'm wasting my energy. Then change. Then stop doing it. Don't keep going automatic. Once you see that, take the responsibility to change. It's your freedom. It's your responsibility. So from being to doing to having, that's what happened. Now, the doing itself, which is in the middle part, is not the problem. Doing is not in itself the problem. The problem is the doing to achieve something that might not be really what you need or what you want deep down. It doesn't serve your true self. Let's put it that way. When usually a doing that is associated with a goal, it has a contraction in it. You know, it's not a relaxed doing. There is like, I have to get there. When doing has no goal whatsoever, then it becomes creativity. So creativity is still a doing, but there is no goal behind. So I might be the most amazing artist and painter. And suddenly I realize I'm painting, and I paint certain things because I know they sell really well. And I need money. So I paint that because I know it's easy to sell. There is a market for it. I don't really enjoy painting this, but I know it works and it sells and it gives me something. Fine. You are aware of it. Beautiful. But your creativity will never flower in that because it's something you don't even enjoy painting. That's not what you would like to do, but you do it because you need to sell. It's okay. You know, we all have to take care of our bread and butter, but that would not be his creativity. If the same guy, if I'm the same painter and I realize, you know what, I just want to paint what I feel like, you know, I don't give a shit of getting money for it or not. It might sit in my house for the rest of my life, but I want to paint this, you know. And it comes, that's what comes from my heart. And I paint that, that is going to be a creative act. Now, creativity doesn't mean art necessarily. This applies to anything. So if I'm washing the floor or if I'm washing the dishes and I'm just so present with the act of washing the dishes, you know, I'm enjoying the sound of the water that runs from the tap. I'm enjoying feeling the water on my hands and the soap bubble and the sponge. And I love to make the dishes really clean, and then I rinse them and they get squeaky. They're so clean. And then I put them to dry, you know, and I'm so present with this. It's my meditation in that moment, right? That's a creative act. Being present is a creative act. Or I can wash dishes and go, God, you know, in 5 minutes I have to do this and that, or I have to meet with that person. And I rush through, you know, I'm washing dishes while I'm thinking all the things I have to do afterwards. That's not a creative act anymore. I'm not present, and it's not a creative act. I don't enjoy doing it. I do it as quick as I can so it's over, right? So those are two different quality of doing. One is creativity when there's no goal attached to it, and one is doing to achieve something, which is not usually creative. So it's not the doing in itself. It's not what we do, but how we do it. You know, and again, it can be beautiful painting or a sculpture or writing a song or playing music, but it can be washing dishes or cleaning the floor or do simple, you know, gardening or cooking a meal. Anything can be a creative act if we bring our presence to it. Then it becomes a creative act. And you will notice that. You will notice every time there is a goal that takes you out from the present moment, then that's it. Then the creative flow is stopped. Then you do it because you have to do it in order to achieve that. That is not there yet. It's not in the present moment. It's somewhere in a potential future that is not happening right now. So it takes you away from the present moment. So we could say creativity happens through a doing that is only exceptionally in the present moment. It doesn't go neither in the past nor in the future. It's just, it's enough into itself. You know, you're just enjoying doing what you're doing, and that's enough in itself. That's the joy of doing it. It's the goal. It's not you're trying to get something out of that. So very different. On the outside might look quite almost the same, but very, very different qualities. And then that creative doing is still very close to being. It's connected to being. You're not being disconnected just because you're doing. You can go back to being, or the doing itself can be pregnant with being. Yeah. The other doing, it goes very far away from being. Doing for having, and then you're lost. The being is gone. You're completely projected away from the present moment into a potential future. The goal, something to achieve. So very, very different qualities of doing, yeah? Marielle, you wanted to say something. Let me give you the mic.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So basically, you're saying that creativity is or can happen when we're not focused on the goal or what we're supposed to achieve. And obviously, creativity, speaking from own experience, is something that makes us happy, that is something beneficial and nice. So we do want to have that. And however, when I was just thinking about your example of washing the dishes, I would say you did have a goal of getting the dishes clean, but the way how you got there was not defined, or there is room for exploration. And so I'm trying to connect the two things, how we can also have as much creativity as possible in our everyday lives, where we do have a lot of goals, be it at work or in our life apart from work, and still enjoying this space of creativity and how we do something.
Right. True. Exactly. That's very important what you said. The distinction is, which is your primary goal? So my primary goal, let's use the same example with the washing the dishes. There's a primary goal and a secondary goal. The secondary goal is to have the dishes clean eventually, right? My primary goal is enjoying that act and that being present through what I'm doing. Yeah. So enjoying the touch of the water, enjoying the movement of the sponge and the dishes, just enjoying that present moment, the act in itself. It's something that I enjoy because I put all my attention there and it feels good. It makes me feel present. I'm quiet. I'm peaceful inside. Yeah. The secondary goal is getting the dishes clean eventually, right? So we could divide it in that way. It might be easier for you to understand, visualize it, right?
Yes, and I believe we can, at least speaking for me,
Yeah.
I have this a lot also in my work, and it's just a matter of making my own goals and priorities. As long as I also deliver what is asked from me, then I have freedom in how I do it.
Exactly. So what you deliver eventually should be your secondary goal. And if people will enjoy what you deliver or not, would be even further, the third goal. Not even a goal, but you deliver what you had promised that you deliver. That's your secondary goal. But you're being present while you do it. That should be your primary goal, right? So if I'm here and suddenly I live in a big house and I hear the phone ringing on the other side of the house, I have to go to pick up the phone, right? So I can rush to the phone as fast as I can and pick it up so I don't miss the call. Or I can walk through the house, becoming very aware of the way I'm walking, feeling the weight on my body, enjoying my breathing, whatever is anchoring me into the present moment. And eventually I get to the phone and I pick it up and I answer. That was my secondary goal, was to pick up the phone, even though that was the original trigger. My primary goal remained being present through walking through the house to get to the phone, right? How do I walk? Am I present while I'm walking, or I just rush to the phone without, oh my God, I have to get the phone. And I pick up the phone, okay. And then between when I heard the phone ringing and when I pick it up, there is a gap. I was not there, basically. I missed that section of my life, right? Because I had a goal, and the goal was so important to get to the phone that I completely forgot myself. It became a primary goal instead of the secondary. Does that make sense?
A lot. I think it gives us so much freedom to act and actually enjoy things that we may sometimes forget to enjoy.
Yes, yes. And also, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of enjoyment that can happen in the doing. Again, it's not about what you do, but how you do it. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna all love everything you do. There are things that we have to do for practical reasons, that they just need to be done. I don't maybe particularly love doing them, but they needs to be done. So I respond in that moment. Let's suppose I'm driving my bicycle, my car. I don't have a bicycle. I'm driving my car, and it's nighttime on a highway, trying to get home, and it started pouring rain, and it's dark. And suddenly I hear boom, and the car starts going like this, and I realize, shit, I have a flat tire suddenly, I hit a nail or something. So what am I gonna do? Now, the tire has to be changed. What does it mean? It means I have to get out of the car, get completely soaking wet because it's pouring rain, and I have to change the tire. Okay. So I have two choices. I can start saying, fuck, why did this happen? This is the worst thing that could have happened to me. I hate it. I don't want to get wet, but I have to. Okay. And I just get out and get wet and get really grumpy. And then I start changing the tire and and I start saying, why is this happening to me? Of all the things, that this had to happen. I have to get home, and so on and so forth. So eventually I change the tire, and it's been hell, Or I can realize, whoa, okay, there's a flat tire. You know, it's neither good nor bad. It's just the way it is. Suddenly there's a flat tire. It's raining. Well, I cannot change that. You know, I cannot say, hey, can you stop raining, please? I have to get out. I got wet. What's the problem? I might enjoy it. So I get out and actually enjoy feeling the rain on my skin and say, wow, I should do it more often. You know, I never do that. I remember last time I did that, I was like 5 years old. It's actually nice. I enjoy getting wet under the rain. And then I start changing the tire. I don't particularly enjoy changing the tire, but it needs to be done. You know, I'm not the victim of what is happening. I'm just co-creating the situation so that can be resolved. I'm responding to a flat tire. That's my response. The first one, I was reacting to a flat tire, you know, through my preconceived ideas of what is nice and what is not. You know, it's okay. It's not okay to get wet under the rain. It's not okay to have to change a tire. That's a reaction. Still, the tire got changed, but I suffered through the whole thing and I was not present. In the second one, it's a response, it's not a reaction. I don't let my mind, you know, start screwing with me and saying, this is horrible. I said, no, this is just what it is, you know. Maybe I enjoy getting wet, and then I do actually enjoy getting wet, and then I change the tire, and there's no problem at all. I get back on my car and go home. Yeah. So different ways to do the same thing. And it's our choice how we do it. The end result, the thing itself, you know, gets done either way. But in one, you actually enjoy what you're doing it. Even changing a tire becomes something eventually it's kind of enjoyable under the rain. Or you can let your mind go wild and tell you what a victim you are of this situation and how bad luck, you're just such a bad luck and you're just a miserable person in that moment, and keep going as long as you can and dig your hole as deep as you can and do it while you suffer the hell. So I call the second one a creative response. And the first one is a painful reaction. Kind of connects to what you were asking, I think, too. Yeah, it's all part of the same package. Thanks for a good question.